So what did we discuss yesterday?
How to extract data from the database.
Right. So we discussed about accessing data.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Please practice on those things. Today we will learn how to connect using Python. Okay. Okay. So today we will talk about how to connect to database. Okay. And perform database related operations. Correct. Okay. So so before we get into that, we said that we'll talk about, MySQL I've already installed, okay, right? And I'm not going to connect to MySQL. I'm going to connect to the database which comes default with Python. What is the database? SQLite.
Nice.
SQLite 3. So you don't have to install. In fact, you can install if you want to, but Python will automatically do it for us. So you don't have to do it. Okay. So there are certain steps that we need to follow when we are connecting to the database. Okay. So what are those steps? Now, let's say, Python is one programming language, right? And SQLite 3 or database programming, the SQL that we discussed yesterday, is another programming language, correct? Now, how can two people, okay, how can two people talk when they have a different language? Now, let's say, for example, okay, you are Python and I'm, and I am SQL, okay? I don't know Python, you don't know SQL. How can you communicate with me? Now, tell me whose job is to talk, you want to talk, right?
Okay.
So what will you do? You will have to learn my language.
Yeah.
Correct? You will have to learn it because you have worked from me. Okay?
Yes.
So if you have worked from me, you will have to learn my language, right? Let's say if you are talking to a French person, what you'll do, you'll go to Google Translate, you'll type thing in English, the equivalent French text, you will copy and paste. You without knowing what it means. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Because you want to talk to me, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
You have to learn my language. So, and of course, you can't learn language in a day, right? So what you'll do, you will go to Google Translate, type in English, and the equivalent data you will copy and paste it in the email or wherever, right? In the chat.
Yes.
Okay. So as if you know French, right? But you don't know even ABCD of it. So something similar we'll have to do, where we'll have to where we will have to copy and paste SQL command, okay, in Python. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two. Database is somewhere else. Python is somewhere else. Python is here on your, in your installed drive, installed location, right? In my case, it is in this location. This is where the Python is, right? Of course, SQL will be somewhere else in some different location. Now, when you are going from one location to another location, okay, you have to first find the path, correct? If you are going one location to another location, you have to find the path. Okay, so it is different location. So first you need to find the path, right? Now let's say if you have to go to buy grocery from Ratnadev, you need to know where the nearest Ratnadev is, right? And then you need to find the path, right? The location, the route, right? Once you find the route, then you need to have some kind of vehicle that will take you from there to, from your home to the store. Okay, so these are some of the extra steps that you'll have to do, okay, when you are connecting or going to do some work outside your home. Okay, if you're working within Python, like working in your own home, right, you don't have to worry about where my list is, string is, because it's all in your house. You're not worried. But when something is not in your house, something outside, you'll figure out where it is. How do I go, right? Should I take bus or train or car or bike or walk, correct? What is the route? Okay, where should I take left, right, etc. Isn't it? You have to think all those things, right? So same thing, okay, is when you have to when you are connecting to, okay. Now we'll talk about database, but same thing happens when you talk to, let's say, connecting to a file, okay, reading from file, and that will be our next topic. Okay, once we are done with the database, whether you're connected to the database or you're connected to the different file, you have to follow a certain procedure, right? Okay. So first step, okay, we have to access the functions of SQLite, right? To access the functions of SQLite, we have to use import. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And you have SQLite 3, which is already installed in my case. I think SQLite 3 is already installed, okay? You will not have to do anything, okay? If you're working with MySQL, okay, you have to say import PyMySQL, okay? And you have to install this. How do you install? You have to go to this particular location, scripts location. You see this? Okay. See, when you're running in PyCharm, okay, PyCharm will tell you where your Python is installed. This is called Python home location. Okay. You might have multiple. See, if you have only one Python version installed, then you can even go to command prompt and do it. Okay. You can directly say cmd. Okay. And you can say pip install here itself. Pip install and PyMySQL is to connect to MySQL. Okay, it will find the path of Python from the home location, the environment variables. Okay, and here it says that, okay, that's okay. We don't worry about PyMySQL, right? So it's not about this, but how does it know which home to install, right? It is installing in some other home location. When you have multiple Python, right, you don't know which home it installed, correct? So what we do is better we go to the location where your Python is installed, scripts folder. This is your current, okay, home location here. Here, if you do pip, okay, pip install MySQL, it is going to install in the current home location. Okay, see, it is going to install in my current home location. So it is important that you go to the current home location where you are running the file. So I was saying that this is my current home location where my Python is installed, correct? And I'm going to this location here, okay? And there I'm doing pip install by MySQL. So MySQL is getting installed at this current location. It is already installed. So it says already satisfied. Okay, I've already installed. But when you're doing it for the first time, it will take some time. It will install. So I told you, right, there are some packages which are already installed, default, but they're not available, right? You have to call it, like we did the date time. We did random, right? Those things we had to call. It is already installed, but it was not readily available. So we called it. Now, PyMySQL will not be installed automatically on your machine. Okay, so you have to do simple pip install PyMySQL. So pip install will go and look in the Python index. Okay, it's called package index, Python package index. It will go there and it will install. Okay, so some of these popular libraries or packages are already put up on our PyIndex. Okay, so we are installing it from that location. Okay, so when you're using with MySQL, we have to say import PyMySQL. But I'm not going to use PyMySQL. I'm going to use SQLite 3 only. Okay, to install SQLite, to work with SQLite 3, just say import SQLite, SQLite, SQLite. Okay, that's what I'm calling it, SQLite 3. Okay, this says you don't need to install any software because Python comes with default SQLite 3 version. Okay, And SQLite 3 is lightweight, easy to use. Okay, it is used to store data in the local machine. It cannot be used as a server. Server means what? You install at one machine and then every other machine can connect to that server, right? To that machine. So it does not allow access from outside the current machine. So if I install in my laptop, nobody else or other laptop can connect. Okay, it restricts action. So in a way, yes. So in a way, it is secure. Okay, nobody else can connect to your database. But the problem is, nobody can. Even with valid user cannot access, right? So if you have to develop something like when you develop mobile apps, and if they all these apps, like you open some pages or you visit some profiles. So these applications will try to save it on your mobile because it's your mobile and nobody else will be able to use it. So next time when you open, it will fetch from the current database, right? So it has a lot of applications. Okay, it is lightweight. It doesn't take a lot of space. Okay, secure. You don't have to worry about security. Okay, and when somebody is using, it's like in your home, right? If you put things in your home, you don't lock everything, right? You just lock the main door, right? You don't have to lock everything inside the house because whoever is inside the house, you trust them and they can use your stuff. Only those who want to restrict, you will lock the main door. Something like this. SQLite is like everything is in the same house. In the same house, you don't need permission to access. Okay, and in outside it is locked, so nobody can connect to it. Okay, so SQLite 3. Okay, so I'm using SQL. I will be using SQLite 3 functions. So I have to import SQLite 3 module. So this SQLite 3 module is now available for us to use. First thing first, okay, is you have to make a connection. You need to know where your Ratnadeep is, right? We need to know where your database is. Okay, so we are saying con, okay, or connection, whatever you want to call, equal to SQLite 3 dot connection. Connect. This connect. Okay. Now here you will mention the database name. Okay, I'm going to say library. Okay, and just to indicate, you can give library just to indicate it's a DB. We create .db. Okay. Now you see here, you don't see anything here, right? You don't see library.db here, correct? Now, SQLite 3 makes database programming easy. Easy in the sense, in MySQL, if you remember, we had to go and create the database. Only then we could use it. What SQLite says is, you don't have to create a database. Moment I say library.db, if that, see, I'm writing this program in this location, right? C Python project. So this file will be created here. Of course, you can give location where you want to create, like C drive, etc. You can give the location, absolute path or relative path you can give. Okay, so once you give that, okay, and if the database does not exist, let's say we haven't created, it will create automatically. Okay, so you don't have to create the database. If it is there, it will create it. If it is not there, it will not create it. Then you will connect to it. Okay, so if it is not there, it will create. If it is there, it will simply connect. Okay.
Yes.
So this is the first command. Okay, the steps are same whether you work with Oracle or SQL Server or MySQL or SQLite. Steps are same. You see this library.db file got created here. Okay, so step 1 is to, this is how you work with database, right? Step 1 is to make connection to your database. Make connection to your database. Okay, so I can making connection to the library.db database. Okay, now if you're using PyMySQL, you need to give database name and also need to give your username, password, right, which you created, right, and the machine name where the server is, right. You can give localhost if it is in your machine. If it is on some other machine, you can give the IP address of that machine, right. So MySQL will need 4 parameters: database name, of course, username, password, and where it is, on which machine it is. But SQLite doesn't need, because it does no need to, it does not have username password. So that is option is gone. It is always on your machine. So you don't have to give the location also, right? So it does not take location, username, password because it is on your machine and it does not need username, password to connect to it. Okay? So SQLite 3.connect library.db, create a library.db database, and it is available for us to work. Okay, so the connection is there. So you know, it's like now you know where your nearest Ratnadip is, right? So you want to go and buy something, and you want to so you found out nearest grocery store. You said nearest grocery store is in this direction at 1 kilometer from your location. So you found where it is, right? Morning, you want to buy something, you will think, oh, should I go to buy from that store or that shop or this shop or that shop, right? So finally decide, okay, I'm going to buy from that shop. This is the connection. Okay, you are trying to connect. Okay, you connected, but you have not gone there yet. You have to go there, right? To buy, you connected, but to get something, you want to go and buy and get something, you have to go there, right? So you have something called as cursor. Okay, imagine cursor like your car, where you can sit and go to that store. Okay, so next step is to create a cursor. How to create a cursor? Okay, connection dot cursor. Okay, everything to and fro that is happening between you and the store has to be through the car, isn't it? You go to the car, you go in the car there, okay, you perform whatever you want to do and come back. If you have to get something, you will just put in the car and come back. So cursor is to make communication with the database. Connection is to make the connection. You know where it is, to whom you want to connect, where you want to go. But actually to go, you have to use some transport, right? So con dot cursor. Okay, this is how you go, right? So I'm saying that I want to go to connection, right? I want to go to connection. So cursor con dot connection. Okay, and we have to save this in this is the object, right? So we'll save this in a object. Let's say I call it as db object or something. Okay, so now we created an object, okay, which is pointing towards your database, right? It has made that connection to your database. Okay. Okay. Now you have to go there, right? What do you want to do? I want to buy, let's say, vegetable. So you will go in cursor, buy vegetable, and come back, right? So, okay. So again, we'll take a little understanding about the database, how database work. Okay. So what is the first thing that you have to do? You have to create a table, right? Yesterday when we connected, right, the tables were already created. So first we need to know how to create table, right? Well, then you will be able to fetch the data. So we'll learn how to create table, and we will learn how to populate the data, right? And then we will fetch the data back. Okay. So first thing, how to create a table, right? How do you create a table? I'm talking about SQL command, right? So you say create table, right? This is how you create table. Create table, right? And you have to give the table name, right? So let's say I want to give table name as books. Okay, so this is table, create table. So SQL knows. Okay, so I'm learning French now, right? So we are moving from Python and going to SQL to learn French, right? Or to learn SQL. Later we will see how to pass exactly as it is to the database, right? So create table books, right? And you give bracket open, bracket close. Okay, between this bracket we give the column names. Okay, this is your SQL query. Okay, not Python, nothing to do with Python, just SQL query. Create table books. So table name is books. Okay, and you can add all the columns here. So let's say I put book ID. Okay, I put book title. Okay, then I put pages. Okay, or let's say price. Okay, and let's say we put copies. So we created a table. We have not yet created, right? We're learning how to create a table, right? Create table books, book ID, title, price, copies. Now, SQL need to know what kind of data will you store in these data type. So again, concept data type is same in SQL, but there is different the way to represent integer or float or text, right? So integer is called int only. Okay, you can say int or integer or number, right? So I'll say integer. Okay, title will be what? String, right? So
Yes,
we
sir.
say text in programming, SQL, right? All the database. We say text. Okay, text for string. Okay, price will be float, right? We call it as real number, real in database SQL language. Okay, integer, text, real, and copies is also integer, right? So we'll say integer. Okay, so book ID, integer, title, text, price is real, copies is integer. So this will create a table books and it will have 4 columns: book ID, title, price, and copies. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we can create what do you call okay, we have to add a primary key, right? What is a primary key?
Which gives connection to the remaining columns, sir. One particular thing. Book ID can be primary key here.
Book ID can be
Primary key.
Primary key, right? What is the primary key?
The location of the next address or target will be stored in that.
Okay.
It will point out to the next column. Like book ID will point to the link up to the next column.
Okay. So see, book ID, okay, or the primary key is the unique values.
Okay.
Okay. It will make sure that you have unique set of values. Okay. You have unique set of values. So I cannot have 2 record with same book ID. Okay. We cannot have 2
set of values.
2 set of values, right? We cannot have 2 set of values with same book ID, right? I cannot say book ID 1, book ID 1. Okay, if I don't make it primary key, then of course you can add. So what I'll do here, I'm going to make it as primary key. Okay, so you can say space and primary key. So this is how you define primary key. Okay, create table books, book ID integer, primary key. Okay, and you have other constraint. We'll talk about it later. Okay, as we do program, we'll talk about it. You can have different, ways to or constraints. Okay, first constraint we're talking about is for primary key. So you have this as primary key. So book ID is your primary key. Okay. So you didn't know how to create a table in SQL. You are Python, so you don't know SQL. So you created so you went to Google and you created and you got this, right? You got Google said you that this is how you need to create a book. So as a Python, okay, you'll say, okay, for Python, this is just a string. For Python, you see, this is just a string. But for SQL, it is a command to create table, right? So when you want to talk to me in French, you will get the information from Google and speak as it is, right? String means what? Python will not use its brain, right? Whatever you put it in quotation, it will print as it is. Correct or not? Python is not going to use its brain to know why this quotation, why this, why that, right? Whatever is there, it will just display on the screen. So similarly here, whatever you are putting, it is getting displayed on the SQL, right? We are supposed to pass it to the cursor. Cursor will dump it on the database. So for Python, it's just a text. It doesn't know and doesn't need to know what it is. Okay, it will simply copy and paste it in the database. How do you copy paste in the database? Okay, so let's say we give this as command. Okay, we are saying this is SQL command. Okay, so now this became a string, right? Now I will say db object is the cursor, right? db obj dot. Okay, you see there's an option called execute. And I'm going to say here command. That's it. Cursor object dot execute. And when I say run, so see what it has done. It has created a table in the database.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Again, I'm not able to see the screen, sir.
You have your weak internet or something? I don't know.
No, sir. Now no problem. But I'm not able to see your screen. It's just displaying.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, I can see.
Let me stop and share again.
Okay, sir.
Are you moving from left to, maybe, by mistake you clicked on some other application and Zoom screen would have gone behind it.
No, sir. Now I'm able to see, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So we created this connection. We are, created this object and we have returned this as a text. For Python, it is just a text. And when you execute, it takes the text and execute it. So the table is created. And of course, table is created. How do we know? We have to go to this library.db. Okay. And then only we'll come to know, right? So what I'll do is I'll try to execute this again. So see what is the error you got? Table books already exist. Table book already exists. That means this table we have already created. So table, if you try to create another table with same name, it will fail. Right? So now you know that the first time when we ran that code, it worked correctly, perfectly, and created a table. The second time when you're trying to create this same, right, it is giving you error. With me? With me or not? Yes, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So that means, our query that last time we ran, table create table, has successfully executed. If we make any mistake, right, it will throw error. Let's say I say, instead of table, I say table. Okay, Python will not throw error. Okay, see, this error is coming from SQLite.operational error, not Python error. Because for Python, it is just a text, it doesn't matter. So Python will take it and try to execute at Ratnadeep. You are saying that, give me something which is not in the Ratnadeep. So I'll tell you, sorry, we don't have it. Right? So there's a syntax error. There's nothing called create table. Right? Okay. Great. Now let's try to add, okay, some data to it. Okay. So I'm going to say command equal to, I'm saying command equal to so that previous command will be overwritten. Okay. And here I'm going to add the insert, okay, or to add to the database. When you're adding new record to the database, you will use command as insert. Okay. Create table is to create a table. Create view is to create a view. Create index is to create index. Create synonyms is to create synonyms. Okay. And then you give the name and you give the specific logic. To insert a new record to the database, we use insert. So the command which I'm going to type here you can directly work on the database, the workbench. Okay, but in Python we have to create a string and then pass that string to the cursor object. Okay, so insert what? Insert into. Okay, this is the command, insert into, and doesn't matter, right? I told you for SQL it is case insensitive, so it doesn't matter whether I give all small or mix of capital and small. Okay, insert into books. Okay, insert into books is my table name, right? So insert into books. Okay, insert into books, and then you give bracket open and bracket close. Okay, now insert has two ways of adding values. One way is when you want to give values to all the 4 columns and in the same order. See, we have created, first we have said book ID, then title, then price, then copies. Right?
Yes.
If you want to create in same order, you don't have to mention the column name specially. Okay, you can simply say insert into books, values, this. But what I'm going to do is, and always use good practice, because when you write this code and maybe later, let's say they add a new column or they change the order of the column, right? For some reason they deleted and they added. So your program will go wrong. It is always good practice to mention the column name. So let's say today it is 4 column, okay? And tomorrow if they add one more column, let's say, using alter, okay? They add one more column. Now your program will fail because it will say the book has 5 columns, but you are trying to insert only 4 columns. So it's always better that you mention the column name. So even when new column is added, your program will work fine. Okay, by default, null values will go to the new column. Okay, always good practice to give the column name. So I'm going to say book ID, comma, okay, your title, comma, price, comma, copies. Okay, so insert into books. Okay, then bracket open, mention all the columns to which you want to add value, and then you say values, and you have to give it the same values, again bracket open and close, and you give the values under book ID, title, price, and copies. Okay, the book ID I want to say 1, title I want to say, okay, it is single quote. Okay, in SQL it is always single quote. So practice Python. Okay, price, let's say 340.25, comma, copies I bought 10. Insert into books, all the columns, space values, and you pass the values. So it has to match, right? Book ID, title, practice, price, copies, copies. Okay, now I have said command, and now I execute the command. Now see, creating table, inserting values, it is one way. We are going and creating and coming back. You are not getting anything back with you. It's like one way traffic, where you are going to database, do some work, come back. Go to the database, create table, come back. Go to the database, push this information and come back. You are not getting anything back from the database. Okay, select that we did yesterday. You are getting back from the database. You are running it is two way. One way is to send the select query, select star from books. It will return all the columns, right? So in that case, it is a two-way process. Okay, but your create table, insert, delete, update is all one way. You're going, making the changes, coming back. You're not getting anything back with you, right? So let me execute it now. The process finished with execute 0. It has successfully, okay, inserted. So now when I will do select, I should be able to see the book with book ID 1, right? Practice Python. So when I run it now, shouldn't they give me error? Because we said book ID is primary key. So we already inserted book ID 1. Now when you try to run it again with book ID 1, it should give error, isn't it? Saying that book with book ID 1 already exists. Yes or no? So now it is executing whatever times I do. Okay. So what is happening? What is happening to the data? Why is it not giving me error? Okay. It does not give error because commands like this needs, okay, you insert and update needs commit. We have to commit to the database. We have to say commit. Okay. Insert will make the change. Okay. And moment you log off without saving, it will not save the data permanently. It is inserting, and but moment the program ends, it is getting rolled back, we call it. Okay. Data is not permanently saved into database if you do not mention commit. Okay. So to save it permanently, we have to say commit. Okay. If you don't say commit, it will not, okay, it will not save it permanently. So if you want to see it, okay, so after executing, okay, before we end the program, okay, after executing, let's perform another command. Okay, and this time I'm saying select star from books. Okay, and how do you do that? Now you have to say db object dot execute, isn't it? You need to execute command. Okay, it should give us data. Now see here, this is executing, correct? But since it's a select query, okay, it is going to give us the data. It is like two-way traffic. I have sent the command select star from books, and it has to return me the values. It has to return me the values, isn't it? So how do I get the values? How do I get the values? So we have something called as fetch all. So if you do db object dot fetch all will get all the data, all the record. So if your table has 100 records, fetch all will get all the 100 records, all the 100 rows. Records are same as rows. It will give you all the records or all the rows. Okay. Then you can have fetch one. Fetch one, okay, will only fetch the first row. So sometimes you want to see if there is a record with that value or not. You don't have to get all, right? Okay, if you even get one record, that means the value is there, isn't it? So if you just want to first row, you say fetch one. Fetch all will fetch all. Fetch one will fetch the first row. And then you can define how many rows you want. Fetch many. Say fetch many, you have to pass number of rows that you want. You want top three, not top, sorry. First two, first three, first four. You can mention, it will give you that many rows. Okay. So for now, let's do fetch all. So fetch all, okay, will return a record set. Okay. So I'm going to say records. So fetch all will give record set. So whatever value is there in the table is all now fetched into records. Did you understand? It's very simple, isn't it? Command you execute, command you execute. But when you want to read it, right, you have to store the value in some variable. So this records is a variable which will have all the record from this table. Okay. Now you can use for loop to print. If I print record, it will records. It's the record set, right? It will not print. But but you can print each row. So I'm going to say for say R in records. Okay, print R. So it's going to print data for us. Okay. Now when I run it, see what happens. You see, it has printed. Return, it is returning as a tuple. So you see this? This is what we entered, right? Practice Python 340.2510. It is printing the data from the database. When I run it again, it is giving value, but it is not adding to itself. It's not adding because we have not committed. Okay, so insert need commit to permanently save the data in the database. Okay, why do we need to give commit? You guys there or no? Commit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There, sir.
Why do we use commit?
For two-way communication.
Commit is to permanently save the data into
Yeah.
database.
Yes, sir. Then only we'll be able to get it back.
So how do we commit? We say db obj here. Okay, object dot commit. No, sorry. So dbj, this is the cursor object, right? Okay, no, connection should be committed. Okay, connection is what? Con. So con dot commit, not the cursor dot commit, connection dot commit. Okay, after inserting, I'll say con dot commit. Okay, so now the data will be saved. So when I run it, you won't see any difference. You'll get the data. Now when I try to run it, you see what happens. Integrity constraint. Okay, that means see, constraint failed, books.book ID. We said book ID is primary key. So we cannot insert duplicate value for the book ID. So now I say book ID 2, practice SQL, program 310, number of copies that you bought is, let's say, 8. Now when I run it, you see it has committed and you saw 2 rows of data here. Yes?
Yes, sir.
I can say 3, practice
Machine learning.
oh yes, you read my mind. Okay, so now you get all this data here. Okay, select is to read the data. Okay, I don't want to execute it. Okay, enough, 3 rows is enough. So we have done create table, we have done insert table, we have done select also. 2 more things are left. One is delete. Okay, if you want to delete a row, okay, I don't want, okay, say practice SQL. So that is called delete. And second option will, last option we'll do is to update the value. Okay, update value in the sense you have already inserted, but now let's say number of copies got 1 was issued. So you want to reduce the count by 1, isn't it? So you will get the count and then you will reduce the count by 1. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So let's do delete. So same thing. I'm going to say command. Okay. We'll do it here so that you can. We will delete and you can then see the output. Okay. So command delete. Okay. Delete. Delete what?
Last one.
Right. So yes, this just like you said, insert into, select from, delete
From.
is also from. Yes. Okay. Select from, insert into, delete from. So delete from books. Okay. So if I don't give any condition, it will delete all the content. Everything that will be deleted. So when you're using delete, you have to be careful. Okay. you have to be careful. Okay, otherwise it's going to delete the entire thing. So when I say delete from books, okay, let me comment connection also. From books, where condition, right? Where a book ID equal to 2. So if I say book ID equal to 2, it's going to delete only the book ID 2. Okay, so delete from books where book ID is 2. Now when you run it, you see, okay, the 2 is deleted. You don't see 2, right? Now when you run again, so what is happening? So second time when we run it, it should say there, right? The book 2 is not there, right? Invalid book ID because it has already deleted first. It's because connection. Delete also needs commit. If you don't commit, the data is not saved permanently. We call data manipulation. We'll talk about theory in some time. Okay, if not today, some other time. We call DML stands for data manipulation language. We are manipulating the data, right? All the data manipulation, insert, update, and delete needs commit. So now when you run it, it is deleted. And now when you try to run it, okay. So let's do one thing. Let me not run this. See, I'm not deleting now. So your data got deleted from the table, right? So you don't have any more record 2 because we said commit, data is saved permanently. Okay. Okay. Next command that we will execute is your changing, update. Okay. So again, update, I'm going to say execute. Okay. So command update. Update what? Update books. Here we don't say from or table. Update books. Update books, 2 things. One, update which value? So I'm saying update books set. Set copies equal to 9. Update books set copies equal to 9. Where? Book ID. Because if I don't put where, it will update all the
book IDs. I mean, yeah, yes, sir.
All the book IDs, right? All the copies will become 9.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want to make all the copies 9. We want only book ID, let's say 3. Okay. So we'll say book ID 3. So what is the copies right now for book ID 3? 18, right? You can say here now, you see it says 19. Okay. Now let's say you want to, you want to first read the, book ID, the value of book ID, and then you want to reduce by 1, right? See, so here I'm saying copies equal to 9, right? So copies equal to 9 got set. But let's say when you write your program, you don't know the current value. So whatever is the current value, you want to remove the copies by 1. So see, when I do this select, right? When I do select is giving me data in tuple. So if I want to read the copies, how do I get it? I can say tuple of 4, R of 4, isn't it? Indexing.
Yes,
Not 4. Is it 4 or 3? It is 3. It's 4th column, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3. Indexing starts with 0. So when I say R of 3, it is going to give me 9, isn't it? So what I'll do now, I'm going to get the current count. Okay, I'm going to say current count equal to R of 3, and then I'm going to check. Okay, if R of or current count, okay, is greater than 0, only then, right? If it is greater than 0, okay, then, okay, then command, okay, we'll execute it. Okay, so then command, okay, book ID 3 is fine, but copies, you see, we have to give it as current count -1, isn't it? Current count -1. Now the problem is, this is not a fixed text. You are reading the value and then updating, right? So if you are copying and pasting like this in a text, for Python it is easy, it is a text value. But SQL will not accept something like this, current, because we are not replacing the value here, isn't it? We are not replacing the value. Okay, we are not replacing the value here. So what we have to do here is we have to replace, okay, the way we use in formatting. We have to say %d, quotation %d. That means I want a integer value to get replaced here. I want a integer value to get replaced. Okay. C for character, D for decimal integer value, and F for float. Yes. So I want, okay. So wherever this ending is there, right? Okay. Here you will say %. Okay. And in the bracket, you will define the value here. Okay. So what is the value? Count, current count -1. Okay, so this is how you pass a value to it. Okay, now we execute it. Now again, let's run it and see. Okay, print after removing one value. Okay, just so that we know. So see, it became 8, isn't it? So we have removed one value and it became 8. Right? So what we're doing, we are updating every time with 9 and then removing it. Now, if I comment this part, okay, the update part, I don't want to update it. Okay, I don't want to update it to 9, right? Yeah, so I don't want to update it to 9. Okay. So after removing one value, okay, why there are two output? Okay. Select star, print R3 we are doing, right? Why it is printing 2? After removing one value. Okay, it is so it is removed 2 because what we did was we said select star from books, right? It is giving us all the values. So all the two books, it's giving value for book ID 1 and 3. I'll say select star from books where book ID equal to 3. Now you will get only for 1. So you see, after removing one value, it is 17. Book ID 3 is 17 because we are inserting with 18, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right? We have inserted with 18, right? So that's why we're getting 17.
But we have updated, sir.
No, we have not updated. Did we update? Wait. Yes.
Where book ID equal to 3, we have updated the copies as 9.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's first print everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So you see here, we're getting 17 here, right? Okay. And current value here will give 17 or 18. Okay, it is giving us 18 here. And then we are removing 1. So we're getting 17 here, which is correct. Okay. Correct? Correct? No.
Yes, sir.
It is 18, right? When we created. And now after removing, we're getting 17.
Yeah.
Okay. But this value should remain 17, isn't it? So what should we do? After removing, we have to make
Commit.
commit. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this we can say com.commit.
Commit.
Okay. So now you see 17, 16, you see?
Yes, sir.
Now you get 15,
Okay.
okay, 14, 13, you get it. And after 10, it should not, right? It should not get into minus, right? That's what I'm making sure. Okay, so this is what you should do in your Python project. Save the copies, get it, okay, and when issue is done, the count in the database should decrease by 1. So for insert, update, delete, all 3 requires connection.commit to permanently save it. Okay, 1, and now you see it will not be -1, right? Because we are not, okay, we count is greater than 0, or after this you can say else print, sorry, we do not have any copies left. You see this? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is how we perform, okay, insert, update, delete, select, create table on database. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very important to practice. Assignment is, I'll end it here early. I want you to practice this. I want you to, okay, create a while infinite loop and give option. Insert or add a new book. Okay. Issue a book. Print. Display. All books. Print. Issue a book, display all books, return a book. Okay, and then exit. Okay, everyone. Okay, see this is the comment. These are the statements. You know, these are the syntax and statements that we have to do to create. So create table. Of course, you have to do it.
Yes, sir.
You create table and add some, you know, dummy data. After doing that, if you say add a new book, it should insert a new record. If you issue a book, then you are decreasing the count by 1.
Okay.
Displaying all books will display all the books. When you return the book, then
It should add.
Yes, then add one extra copy to the thing. So you're doing same set of operations, but under if now, right? If you know, choice equal to, you know, you can read it as choice. If choice equal to 1, then do this.
Like what action to be done on the table.
Yes. Okay, and then you do if else and complete this program. Okay, so I'll share this code and I'll be online for next few minutes. 10 minutes. I want you to practice, and then 10-15 minutes, and I'll log off. Please complete it. Okay. Please complete it.
Yeah.
And similarly, you have to do similar thing for in your program for members also, right? Create similar table and add these functions for members when doing a project, library project. And you can use SQLite. Okay. Now, I told you, right? So entire SQL programming is same for whether you work on SQLite or PyMySQL, right? If you have to do same thing, you can try this also today. If you have to do same thing on MySQL, you will simply comment this, uncomment this, okay? And connection will be different, right? Connection, of course, you can't have same connection string. So you will say con equal to PyMySQL. Okay, PyMySQL, and here you give the database name, whatever database name you have, username, password, and localhost. That's it. Everything else will remain same. You don't have to make any changes, because what we just did is a SQL command. SQL command works, in same fashion whether you're working with SQL, Oracle SQL, or PyMySQL or SQLite or SQL Server or DB2. It doesn't change. Postgres doesn't change. So you only have to change the connection string and the import factor. That's it. Everything else remains the same. Okay. So, okay. I want you to practice this at least on SQLite. Get comfortable. Okay. Implement this mini project. Okay. And then we can expand it to for another table or multiple tables later.
So now you have created this now, sir. So you already table is created in your database, sir.
Correct.
Can
in library.db.
Yeah. Can you open it once, sir?
How can I open it? You need Workbench, right? I have not installed Workbench for SQLite.
Okay.
You use command to get the data.
Okay, sir.
Whatever you want to see, you have to use this. So see, this is Python. This is not Workbench. Just so that's why we installed Workbench for MySQL. So you can connect to database and fetch, right? You can go and download SQLite.
Okay.
Okay. Then you will be able to. You can say download SQLite 3. Then you can of course download and install and you can use it. But I don't want to do it. Okay. In the book, in the PDF, you have the ways to download it. Okay. So this is how you download. This is totally available for free. Okay.
Okay. So yesterday, yesterday we have seen this, no, sir, online SQL database, already
Correct.
present database.
Correct.
Like that, can we see our database tables in a database?
I told you, you need something to connect. I told you yesterday.
That's what.
Worksheet we used yesterday to connect to Oracle online. We have Workbench in MySQL to connect.
Okay.
Right. So you need to have something that is to be installed to connect to library.db.
Okay.
So to install that, you have to go to the SQLite page. Okay. And then you have to download.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, you can see. Okay. See. Snapshot of the complete source tree of SQLite versus this source tree. Sorry, not this one. See. Bundle of command line. So this is what you need to install. This is for Linux. Okay. This is for Android.
Okay.
Okay. So you can download these things to connect to your database. Windows.
Down, sir, down.
Yeah, this is for Windows, right? 86, yes, and this is for 64. So this is what you need. Okay.
Okay.
So using this, you can actually. Okay. In fact, this is the one. Okay, the analyzer.exe. Okay. Using this, you can actually connect and see. It tells you how to install, how to start using it. This is what you need to connect to the database. And there's a lot of things. Okay. In database, we have three main types of role. One is your database admin. They are responsible to install, making sure that everything is fine. They would need analyzer. Okay. Second role is creating this table, creating table columns, all those things. As a machine learning expert or programmer, we don't need to learn. Okay, of course, great, but admin part absolutely don't need to know. You need to know the good practices, but most importantly, your focus will be on insert, update, delete, and select. Okay, you spend time to master select. Select is a very big topic in itself. Once you're comfortable with select, that's when you go and you learn other things. Okay, so what we said was there are some functions which are readily available, right? Like len, print, input, end. That we don't have to do anything. Then we saw there are some functions for which we need to import a module, random, date, time. So those functions or modules are already there in our system, already installed when we installed Python. Okay, but yes, but not readily available, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have to say
import.
You have to say import, yes. So we have to say import, right? So we have to say import and then we have to use it. Now, there are some other functions which did not get installed when we installed Python. But those are available, okay? But those are available on Python official website, okay? So if you go to python.org, okay, and you go to see PyPy, Python package index, you see PyPy?
Yeah.
You click here, okay? So when you click here, okay, you will see all the packages here, okay? Package index name. So these are new packages which got added. Okay, let's browse project. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Python 3 compatible projects. Okay. So these are different projects which are available. Okay. Now these are not installed on our machine. Okay. We can even go and say PyMySQL. You see PyMySQL. Okay. PyMySQL is used to connect to MySQL. Connect Python to PyMySQL. Okay. So this is about it. This package contains a pure Python MySQL client library. Most public APIs compatible with MySQL client and MySQL DB. Does not support low-level APIs. Okay. Requirement at least 3.6. It doesn't work for older version. And your MySQL should be greater than 5.6. Okay. It is uploaded on PyPy. See, if it is uploaded on PyPy, okay, then pip install is good enough. You can say pip install or Python -m pip install. Even pip install will work. You don't have to say Python -3, okay? But this is the actual command. So what it does is when you run at your Python home, you run at your Python home. Okay, so how do you know what is your Python home? So you go here, okay? This is your Python home. This file, wherever your python.exe is, that is your Python home. So you have to go to this location on your command prompt and then run that query command. So I go to command prompt, emd, okay, and I say this cd. Okay, this is where the python.exe is, right? Now here I'm going to give pip install and PyMySQL, or you can give Python 3 or Python minus M pip install, right? It's the one the same. Okay, Python 3 minus M pip install PyMySQL. Okay, this is going to do same thing. Okay, Python 3 is not there. So in my version, it is called Python. Okay, not Python 3. So whatever .exe is, that exe you have to run. Okay, so it has run this. So what it does is it connects to this location automatically. Pip is written such a way that it connects to this location and downloads and install it. Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this shows the examples. Okay, so this is what we did. Create table. Okay, so you have to say PyMySQL. Okay, then you have to use PyMySQL.connect to connect. So see here in our case we use only database name. Okay, learn.db, because SQLite connects only database. But for PyMySQL you have to give the host name. Host name is what? Localhost. If your database is on your machine, you give localhost. Username is username. Password is password that you created at the time of creating the database. Okay. Now you see here, it is exactly the same. You say command, I use command, it's a SQL, insert into this and cursor.execute. Okay, same thing, select and then select cursor.execute. As simple as that. Okay, and you get the same output. So from here, if you have to install, you have to say pip install. Pip install, it will go and it will fetch from here. Okay, you can, so the scikit-learn, the important one that we're going to do for our machine learning is here. So do TensorFlow, you have to use scikit tensor. Okay, similarly you can get all the other values from here. Keras, you have to say scikit keras, right? So all these are libraries available for us to use. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You can search for operating system, programming language, natural language. Okay, so these are the available. If you want to work with Bengali language, you have a library for this. If you want to work with a Hindi language, you have a Hindi library. This. So somebody has already written package for us to use. Telugu, do we have Telugu? Okay, we do have Telugu. Okay, so okay, there's no, okay, so I'll not do the scikit, I'll simply search now. So see, PyWikibot, Akshar these are libraries which are available for us to use. You can manipulate Telugu text also using Akshar Python package. How to install? Simply you say pip install Akshar. Okay. Pip install Akshar. It will download that package which will help us to, okay, see this is how it's downloading. Okay, and now I'll be able to work with this. This is developed by Vinod. Okay, so this is how you can manage and work. Yes?
Yes, sir.